we're getting ready for the NFL draft. And it's,
Kind of a big
it's
deal.
kind of
Kind
a
of a
big
big
deal
deal.
in that football world. And I mean, I think that the Juke Pod, Mitch and I couldn't have a better person to discuss what's going to happen in this draft, particularly with the quarterbacks, since, we've got one of the best right here with us.
Yeah, this is it's a great, first of all, it's a great quarterback draft class. I mean, that goes without saying. And just to highlight a handful of them: Trevor Lawrence, obviously at Clemson, Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance out of North Dakota State, Mac Jones at Alabama, one of my favorites, and really the list goes on. I mean, but it's such an interesting year because I think more than we've seen a lot of movement in the NFL, with Stafford and Goff trade, and teams getting rid of guys, and Fitzpatrick going to Washington, and just there's a lot of movement, and there's a lot of teams that also need quarterbacks. And it's really, then my buddy Sam Darnold in New York, what's going to happen to him? Is he going to stay? Is he going to get traded? Are the Jets going to draft the quarterback Russell Wilson? I mean, list goes on. But when you look at this quarterback draft class, I think you have every different type of prospect you can want. You start with Trevor Lawrence, and he's going to be the surefire number one pick. Urban Meyer's the head coach at the Jaguars, who was my colleague at Fox the last couple of years. So I know he's not going to say it, but I'd be willing to bet anything he's going to take Trevor Lawrence, who's really just a rare talent, and obviously a great kid off the field, but just a special talent. And it's going to be really interesting. I have a feeling, like there always is, that there'll be a team that's out of the top 10 that's going to jump into the top 5 probably to pick up one of these kids. And it's exciting though. I do love the draft. I do obviously following college football, covering college football Fox. I'm heavily invested in really all of these kids on a national scale, not just quarterbacks, but everybody, because you cover them and you kind of see them grow as players, and it's always exciting. And being drafted in '06, it's just it's really a special day for everybody. So looking forward to it, but tons of talented quarterbacks this year, and it's going to be really interesting to see where they each go.
You mentioned Mac Jones actually as one of your favorites. So what makes him one of your favorites in the draft?
Well, first of all, just his journey, and I know Steve Sarkisian, who's now the head coach of Texas, was his OC the last couple of years. So I talk to Sark often, and obviously get a lot of feedback from him. But for me, the thing I love about Mac Jones is this is a kid who basically sat behind Jalen Hurts at one point, Tua Tagovailoa at one point, and never transferred, never wavered, just kind of and Mac Jones was a big time recruit. I think he was a 5-star recruit. And where so many players now, they go in the transfer portal, and and I don't want to say they're afraid of competition by any means, but there's just been it's just a lot easier now to say, oh, well, I'm not going to play, I'm going to go somewhere else. And I really admire what Mac Jones did. He basically just said, screw this, I'm going to stay, I'm going to earn my spot. And then on top of that, he had to fend off the number one player in the country, and Bryce Young, who went to my alma mater, Mater Dei, the number one quarterback in the country. And then you look at what Mac Jones did this year. So from that standpoint, the competitive person that he is, I love that about him. And then from a a skill level standpoint, I was actually watching. I think his pro day was earlier this week, and I was watching kind of everybody talk about him. And the biggest thing was, well, you're not the greatest. He's not the greatest athlete, but he can do this, that, and the other. And I just think this is a kid who's going to prove a lot of people wrong. I really do. I think he's going to be a starter in this league for a long time. I think he's got the right kind of moxie to play the position. We know he's tough as nails. We know he's not going to give up easily, because he could throw, he could, he's accurate, he's all of those things. But he's just personally just one of my favorites. I just think for kind of the way he handled himself at Alabama, and then to take advantage of an opportunity being a 1-year starter. Now he's going to be most likely a first-round draft pick.
When you're evaluating these quarterbacks in the draft, what's like the first thing you look at? Is it the intangibles? Like you've mentioned a lot of intangibles about Mac Jones,
Right.
or is it more of the physical ability, you know, the arm strength, the ability to move, those sort of things?
Well, yeah, I mean, gosh, the position and the game has evolved so much, especially that position. I mean, I feel like a dinosaur. You know, I'm 37. But the way I played was
Right.
you know, I'm a big guy, but I was a drop back passer.
Yeah.
You know, like a Tom Brady. Obviously not Tom Brady, but you know, I wasn't running around making plays. And the
Yeah.
game is just shifted so much to most of these quarterbacks they're all guys that can run. They're all guys who are great throwers, but can also run. And you have some rare ones like Kyler Murray and Lamar Jackson who are just very, very special running the football. But when I look at these guys, when you just look at the from a football standpoint, obviously to me, I think arm strength is overrated. I think it helps tremendously, but I look at Kurt Warner, someone I played with who
Mhm.
is a Hall of Famer. He did not have a great arm. I look at Drew Brees, who's an absolute first ballot Hall of Famer, not a great arm. I look at Peyton Manning, pretty much his whole career, not a great arm. You know, obviously, and you're talking about some of the best to ever do it. So, do you have to have that? No, absolutely not. But the way the game is shifting, you look at Mahomes, you look at Josh Allen, you get some of these guys. I mean, they're
Yeah.
very special throwers. So, for me, it's the competitor. It's, you know, the guy that, you know, you watch film, you watch interviews, you watch the game tape, you watch the TV copy, and you can just kind of see it because I feel like, you know, oh, he throws the ball 70 yards, great. He runs a 4.5. Wow, that's awesome. But you know, how is he in the huddle? How is he in a 2-minute drill? How is he, you know, can he play hurt? How does he react when he gets hit all game? You know, those are just things I think that really separate the great ones from the good ones.